Okay, Vayetze Yaakov. Yaakov went out of Beersheba and he went to Charana and he reached a certain place that he hadn't slept for 14 years when he was in Beis Medrash Ephraim. So there's a few things over here. First of all, Tiferes Yonasan, Rabbi Yonasan Eibshitz. He says, what time of year did Yaakov leave? It was Pesach time. And it says in the Pasuk that Hashem told him, that Hashem came down and Hashem told him that V'inei anochi imach, I will be with you, ushmarticha b'chol asher telech, and I'll watch over you. That Pesach had a bracha already from that time of being a leil shimurim, a time when Hashem watches over you. On Pesach, we say Pesach is a time, there are many people who had the custom not to lock their doors on Pesach. They kept their doors unlocked because it was a time when Hashem watched over you. So the first Yonasan says that it traces back all the way to the days of Yaakov Avinu, when he left and went to Haran, and Hashem came to him and said, I'll take care of you, I'll protect you. So that was already Pesach time. The Yor HaChaim, we talk about Yaakov meeting Rachel and Leah. The Yor HaChaim says that the mothers in general could not have children right away. Sarah for sure did not, even Rivka did not, Rachel did not. The only one that seemed to have children right away was Leah. She seemed to have children. So the Yor HaChaim says, why did she have children? So he gives a very unusual answer. Good evening. He says that if Leah would have been married to Yaakov and not had children right away, you know what people would have said? You see, she wasn't supposed to marry Yaakov. It was a trick. It was love on trick. It was a mistake. She wasn't supposed to marry him. There's no mazel in this house. Otherwise she would have children. So the fact that Leah married Yaakov under suspicious circumstances, through trickery, Hashem says, before people start talking, that this is not from a Shamayim, Leah is going to have children right away. Proof that it's from Shamayim. Very interesting. And we see, she had one child, Reuven, Shimon, Levi, then she had Yehuda, which stands for thank you. She had children right away. They bring down the story from Ephraim Kanievsky. I don't know if I told you this story once. It's an interesting story. He says, Ephraim Kanievsky was davening in the minyan in the morning. We'll make it more contemporary, let's say here in Queens. And after shul, before people leave, someone makes an announcement, could you just wait a minute? And he takes out a bag, and he spreads a tablecloth, and he puts a little bottle of vodka or scotch, and some cookies, and some cupcakes, and he makes, like a little kiddush, a little l'chaim. So someone comes over and says to him, do you have a yortzeit? Sometimes, Ashkenazim do this when there's a yortzeit. The same way when you do Nichum Avelim in the Bukhari community, you always have food out to make a bracha, so we do the same after davening. So the guy says, no, I don't have a yortzeit, but last week I was crossing Queens Boulevard, and a car hit me. It just knocked me a little bit, and I fell to the ground, but Baruch Hashem, I'm okay. So I'm just giving this little kiddush as a thank you to Hashem, because I was okay. Okay. The next day, davening finishes, and someone hits the table, makes an announcement. Before you leave, could you just come by for me? Spreads out a tablecloth, and he puts out a bottle of schnapps, again, rye or bourbon, whatever it is, and some cookies and some cake and everything else. So someone says, do you have a yortzeit? I said, no, I don't have a yortzeit. Did anything happen to you that we don't know about? He says, no, nothing happened to me. So he says, so why are you doing this? He says, yesterday a guy was telling you how when he crossed Queens Boulevard, he got hit by a car. I cross Queens Boulevard at least 3 times, 4 times a week. And I never got hit by a car. I'm just giving this to say thank you that I was never hit by a car.
It's so smart.
Now, it's a fascinating idea, People do these things when they get hit by a car and everything is okay? Afterwards. This guy said, hold on here. I crossed the same street. And I'm luckier because I got never hit by a car. You don't think I should say thank you? It's like she had 4 children. She says thank you to Hashem. It's a natural thing. She was having children one right after the other. So Chaim Kanievsky uses this as an example of how there is a need for a person to be thankful when everything is going good. See, the human body is a perfect specimen. When everything works fine, you don't notice it. When there's an infection, all of a sudden the hand hurts, the eye hurts, the ear hurts, then you go to a doctor, you got to check it out. But when everything is working the way it's supposed to, you don't feel anything. You don't feel your heart pumping, you don't feel your blood rushing.
Not appreciation.
Right. So when someone says, how do you feel? You feel great. And the other guy says, oh, I feel so terrible, I have to go to the doctor, I'm taking medicine. You got to stop and say to yourself, I'm really thankful that I feel great.
Yeah.
But we don't realize it. We just take it for granted. So there's more to that than meets the eye. Rachel says to Yaakov, Ten li bonim, give me children. And Yaakov's reaction is a little bit tough. He doesn't say, okay, let me daven for you, because, okay, Avram didn't daven that much for Sarah, but Yitzchak davened for Rivka, so I saw that. He says, what do you mean, give you children? My God, am I Hashem? Atachas Elokim Anochi? You think I'm the one that gives children? I mean, lady, go daven yourself. And maybe that's what he wanted. He wanted her to cry out to Hashem. But it seems a little bit tough language. So, the Meforshim talk about this a little bit. And again, it's hard to talk about Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov in human terms. Very often here, we give a human approach. Let's think about this for a moment. Yaakov, right? Yaakov comes to Haran, and he meets Rachel. Rabbi Fran brings this down in one of his classes. He says many times when boy meets girl, the boy comes to Rabbi Fran and says to Rabbi Fran, what should I do on the date? What should we talk about? When you're not experienced going out, in the beginning you don't know what to do. So Rabbi Fran says, gives them ideas. You can go to a restaurant, you can sit down and have a meal, you can talk, you can go walk in the park. But one thing he says, I've never told any boy, that if the girl's father is a crook, don't say to the girl on the first date, I heard your father's a crook, I'm a bigger crook. I hear your father's a cheater, I can cheat him. That's not something you would say to a girl. And yet Yaakov, when he sees Rachel the first time, says, I know your father is tricky, but I went to yeshiva for 14 years, I know all the tricks. I'm his brother when it comes to trickery. He's not gonna outsmart me.
I'm prepared.
I'm ready. Bring it on. I'm ready. So that's not something you would say. But if you're Yaakov and you make it very clear to everybody, I have Lavan's number and I'm going to be smarter than him. The last thing you want is to get outsmarted. So he says to Rachel, assuming Rachel and Leah were twins and identical twins, so they looked alike, he gives her secret information. I'm going to give you 3 pieces of information, signs. They say it was Nida, Chala, Hadlaka, Sasaneh, whatever the 3 signs were. And I'm going to ask you, and only you know the answer. Now, this is a girl that he's worked for 7 years, that he wants to marry. Okay, it's all set. He's covered himself. And then he finds out that he got betrayed. And who betrayed him? Not Lavan. Rachel. Lavan tricked him. But that's who Lavan is. He's a tricker. So all Lavan did was act according to his nature. Leah played the role because she wanted to marry the guy. So I don't blame Leah. She saw an opportunity and she took advantage of it. But the person who I trusted with the code, if I give my wife the combination to the safe, and she gives it to her brother, and her brother comes and robs me of $10,000, who am I angry at? The brother? He's a thief. Who betrayed me? Not the brother.
The wife.
The wife.
But Rachel, she's so...
I got you. If Rachel would have gone over to Yaakov and would have said to Yaakov, Yaakov, I can't do this. Yaakov, my sister is older. She was older by a minute. Yaakov, we got to find a different solution. That means a wife can talk to a husband and a fiancé can talk to a person. But when Yaakov trusted her and she did this, he had to have felt, even in a small level, betrayal. Because he talks to her very differently. He no longer talks to her, oh, you're my special wife, I'm going to daven for you. She cries to him, I want children. And what is his answer? Who am I? Am I God? You know, what do you think, I'm God? So you have to understand, there's much here that that is hidden under the psukim. And the psukim, don't...
He doesn't have mercy on her?
Do you see mercy on him? Look at the next thing. At the end, we only have a few stories with him. The next thing is, Lavan comes screaming to him, "Who stole my idols?" So what's his reaction? I don't think any of my people stole your idols, but I'll tell you this much, whoever stole them is going to die. Okay? Who stole the idols? Rachel. Okay, I got it. I just said whoever stole them is going to die. Now I found out Rachel stole the idols. What do?
Sure.
I'm sorry, Hashem, please forgive her, I'm going to fast. Tell me in the Torah, does he say to Hashem, forgive her? No. Does he daven for her? No. Does he fast for her? No. What does he do? He buries her. Okay?
Yeah, but Rabbi, how did they find out that she stole it? Because the one, he checked her pillow and it was soft.
At some point, what do you think? She had these idols. He said, as they crossed over the island, he says, whoever has any idols, whatever it is, get rid of it. He made an announcement. So she got rid of it.
Because maybe it was stressful situation. That's why he said like that.
You know what? It could be, he can make 1,000 excuses. Okay? But this is the Torah. This is a written book. We learn from what's there. We learn from what's not there.
Before, she's supposed to say to her husband what she did.
But she didn't. Communication. She didn't do that. She should talk about her plan. She didn't do that. She has a baby. She's having a baby. She's about to give birth. It's not going well. She dies. And Leah doesn't live much longer. The one who lives the longest is Bilhah, the maidservants. We'll talk about them in a moment.
How many years were after Rachel she lived?
8.
After Rachel?
That's it.
Oh,
Rachel died at age 36. Leah was 44.
wow.
Sarah lived 127. Rivka lived 133.
Oh, wow.
Bilhah also lived in the 130s. Rachel and Leah died children, young.
Wow.
By the time they sold Yosef, Leah was gone. They say, had Leah been alive, the brothers would never have sold Joseph, because the brothers would have gone to their mother complaining that is not being fair, and she would have taken care of it.
Yes.
Because that's what mothers do. Children go to their mother, and the mothers go to the fathers. That's the family dynamics. Leah was gone already. So there's a lot here that is written, but there's a lot here that's not written. We talked about this over the years. Yaakov. When Hashem appears to Yaakov, what does he say to him? It's clear. He says, Vayomer, Ani Hashem, I am God. Elokei, the God, Avraham Avicha, Avraham your father, Velokei Yitzchak, and the God of Yitzchak. What's not written after the word Yitzchak? Father. So hold on.
Oh, not written.
Right. So now, hold on. Yaakov's father is who? Avraham or Yitzchak?
Yitzchak.
Yitzchak. Hashem didn't know that. God made a mistake? He forgot something? The answer is, Yaakov says, Yitzchak is no father to me. He loves Esau, he doesn't love me. The only father he had was his grandfather. Now, does that happen today where kids look to the grandfather like a father? All the time. Especially since we spoil our grandchildren. I didn't grow up with grandparents because of the Holocaust, but my grandchildren, my wife and I are walking down the street, they'll come running to me, and my wife says, what am I, chopped liver? Because, they go to the person who buys them all their presents. That's our job. And who plays with them and everything else. So, but it's interesting. And we talked about this, that Yaakov comes back from being away, and everybody thinks he's away 20 years in Lavan's house. Yes, but he was away 14 years in yeshiva. So he was away 34 years. That's a long time. Yeah. He moves back to Israel. He's 20 minutes away. He's in Flushing, and his parents live in Regal Park. It's a 20-minute drive. And for 2 years he doesn't go. And when he finally goes, his mother had just died. So the one person who loved him the most, his mother, he never saw.
Maybe he scared his father because He's stolen this bracha.
You know what? Maybe he's scared, maybe he's not. But what would you say to a child who hasn't seen his parents for 30 some odd years, and he lives 10 minutes away? Would you say to the child, maybe you should go home and say hello to your father? Say hello to your mother? Okay? Right. So again, it's not our place to judge these people because they're way above us. They're like towers, before us. But the Torah is very interesting. I forgot who it was. One of the I heard this from Rabbi Leaf and Moshe Meir Weiss and different people. He says, you want to know the biggest proof that the Torah was written by Hashem? Because it doesn't sugarcoat the stories. If we were going to write a story about Yaakov, we would never write a story how he dressed up like his brother and stole the brachos. We would do like Art Scroll, that he went to his father and he taught him a piece of Gemara and then the father gave him the bracha. We would never write the story this way. The fact that the story writes it, the Torah writes it this way, which makes Yaakov very human, with maybe emotions, is proof that the Torah has to be written by Hashem. Because we would never write a fairy tale like this. We would change the facts, So the fact that it's what it is often the biggest proof at all that the Torah was written. Okay, we said that we talked about this over the years. Yaakov, it says, Yaakov left Beersheba, he went to Haran. Well, that's not true. When Yaakov left Beersheba, he went to Beis Medrash Ve'ever for 14 years. So they bring down a famous answer that there's a Gemara. The Gemara says that if a person is a certain age and he has a choice to get married or learn Torah, what should he do? So the Gemara says depends. If you're rich, then you can get married because you can afford a wife and you can learn Torah at the same time. But if you're poor, then you have to learn Torah because if you get married, you'll have to go to work. You can't live like that. So when Yaakov left his house, he was rich. So he could go ahead and get married. That's true. But as he was going, who came to him? Eliphaz. And he said, I have to kill you. My father left instruction, I have to kill you. So Yaakov said, you don't have to kill me.
Yeah.
Make me poor. A poor man's like he's dead. Now he got rid of all his money. Now he's poor. If he's poor, he has to go to yeshiva first before he gets married. So really both are very true. But Moshe Feinstein says that, the Torah doesn't say that he went to learn yeshiva for 14 years. Why not? He says, because people sometimes think, I went to yeshiva for 14 years, that it makes them a hot shot. He says, learning Torah is a necessity. Everybody has to learn Torah. And therefore, there's no special pat on the back because you spent 14 years in yeshiva. He says the Torah doesn't talk about his years in yeshiva because that's expected of him. He should be dealing with he should be learning in yeshiva. It's part of who he is, it's part of what he needs to be. It's very, very important that he should do that. There's no special compliment that comes with that. Now, we talk about who are the mothers. So the Gemara in Brachos asks who are the mothers, and there's 4 mothers. Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. So they all ask the question, what about Bilhah and Zilpah? They also were mothers, they also had children. So it's interesting that when they had children, it says, it says that Leah had children, Rachel had children, but by the imahos, by the maidservants, it doesn't say they had children. It says they had children to Yaakov. So it's so interesting that they call the children differently. It says, "Vatele Zilpah shivchas Leah liYaakov ben." Zilpah had a child for Yaakov. That the children became shvatim because of the father, not the mother. So the Gemara says that the mothers, that Bilhah and Zilpah are not considered mothers. It's an interesting Gemara. It's a Gemara in Brachos. But I did find as follows. There is a Medrash Rabbah in Bamidbar, and it says that every Shevet gave 6 agolos, 6 wagons. And they gave the wagons names: Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Bilhah, Zilpah. that they considered Bilhah and Zilpah as part of the mothers. And then in Medrash Rabbah, in Esther, it says that the Shlomo Melech's throne had 6 steps. And the steps had names: Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Bilhah, Zilpah. That they were for the 6 mothers.
They both had by 2, yes, each.
Right. So it seems that when it comes to davening, we refer to the 4 mothers. On our tefillin, we have a shin that has 3 heads, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and 4 heads, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. But for everything else, they are considered mothers. And he brings down that not only are they considered mothers, but Yocheved was considered a mother, Miriam was considered a mother, and Osnat, because Osnat had Ephraim and Menashe, were considered mothers. So it seems that there were more than the 4 mothers, according to many, many sources. But in general, when we refer to in davening the avos and the imahos, it's 7. The menorah has 7 candelabras. Again, there's 7 levels of chokhmah, 7 wisdoms, 7 knowledges, but really it's more than that. They were given a certain amount of mazel and bracha, so that's why they were very instrumental. And the truth is, I had mentioned to you that when Rachel died, who raised Yosef and Binyamin was Bilhah. And Bilhah raised them. So as far as who was the mother, Yosef's mother was really Bilhah. I mean, he remembered Rachel for a little bit, but he was young when she died. And when Binyamin never knew his mother. His mother died when he was born. So his only mother that he knew was Bilhah. So these women were very, very special because they raised these children. You know, they raised them. Okay, do we learn out a legal precedent in this week's Parsha? New York State law. So actually in many states, but New York State law. We learn out from this week's Parsha, New York State law. Someone came to me the other day, and this is a story that they had. There's a Bukharian couple family. There was a Bukharian guy who came to a couple and says, I have no place to live. I'm on a waiting list to get an apartment, but the place I'm staying now, I have to leave. I can't stay anymore. I need a place to live. So the person says, well, I have a house that I'm renting, but you know, it's a 2-family house, and I have 2 families there, but you know what, the basement has a room. If you want, for $500, I'll let you live in the, you know, but it's only temporary, for a month or 2 or 3, whatever it is. Okay, the guy's been there 6 months. He paid rent the first month, hasn't paid a penny since. And he likes to cook shish kebab. So he cooks, but it's cold outside, so he cooks inside, so the whole place gets full of smoke, and the other couples are screaming and yelling, we can't breathe, it's our children, you know, it's horrible. Now they want the guy to leave. You know what the guy said? I ain't leaving. Why should I leave? I have no place to go. Well, I only did this to you as a favor. You're not paying me rent, you don't have a lease. He says, yeah, I don't need a lease. What are you gonna do? Take me to court? It's an illegal apartment.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
What are you gonna do? Throw me out? You can't throw me out. Why can't she simply pack his bags, throw him out, and change the locks? Why not? You know why not? Because New York State has a law.
6 months, remember?
No, 30 days.
30 days?
And where did they learn it from? This week's Parsha.
30 years old.
Yaakov comes, and he says, I have no money. So Lavan says, listen, your family, you can stay
30 days.
30 days.
And after that?
After that, goodbye. So the Bible, the Rambam brings it out, the Bible, New York State law says that if you're what's called a squatter, you bring someone into your house, he has no place to live, he lives in a bedroom. Up to 30 days, you can pack his bag, throw him out. But if he's been there for 30 days, it's like he has a lease. He's called a license. You've given him a license, and now you can't. And
Wow.
if you pack his bags and throw him out,
He can sue.
triple damages. That means if he says, I lost $2,000 because of this, you have to pay him $6,000. New York State has triple damage penalty for self-cure. Nothing you can do. I gave her the name of a lawyer. She'll have to get a lawyer, who'll have to go to court and to say, I'm revoking this license, I was only doing it as a kindness, he has no lease, and she has to get a eviction from the court, and then she has to give that eviction to the city marshals.
Ой-ой-ой, какую кашу заварили.
That's right, not her. She can't do it. The city marshals will have to come, pack up his stuff and take it out. Then she can change the locks. And of course, if he comes back, then she can call 911.
And how long was it gonna take that?
Another 6 months. Now, he got smart. He said to her, listen, you want to get rid of me? No problem. It's going to cost you a lawyer. You got to go to court. I'll tell you what. Pay me $7,000. I'll leave.
I'm gonna.
Wow.
И жил бесплатно, еще деньги просит. Смотри, какие сволочи. Ай-яй-яй.
Wow.
Why people so smart?
He has a friend who educated him.
Yeah.
And the truth is,
He's right.
she went back and said, I'll give you 5. I said she should offer 2, but because it's going to cost her 5 anyway to go to court, and maybe.
Yeah, to pay a lawyer and everything.
Right, so it may be worthwhile to pay him 5, but first he has to pack up all his stuff, he has to sign a paper that says, I am vacating out of my own free will, otherwise he can come right back. And so you need a lawyer to prepare documents. But the law that a person has what's called squatter's rights after 30 days, this week's parsha.
Поэтому никого пускать
It's
не
better
надо,
than
никого
rent,
лишнего.
no rent to nobody.
Well, 1 second.
Ой-ой.
You can rent
How?
with a
No,
lease
legally,
properly.
legally.
But number one, this was not a legal apartment.
Yeah, в домах.
She rented a basement.
Да, в домах.
He had no place to
нельзя,
live. I'm doing you a
нельзя
favor,
давать рент.
okay? It's not family.
Did they knew him?
He's in the community. He davens in the shows. He's in the community. They didn't know him, but he knew enough to go to them and cry,
Yeah.
okay? No good deed goes unpunished. I said, next time, you see, people don't ask questions. Here you go, you open up your doors, you bring someone in. Did you ever think, consult a Rav, consult someone?
Вот именно.
What should you do? What's the right thing? What's the wrong thing? You know, you didn't do that. You jump. People jump right away. They do nice things. But it's the people who do nice things that get kicked in the end. Now, let's say the court will evict him eventually. Let's say she says to the court, you know, Your Honor, he was supposed to pay me $500 a month. He lived there 6 months, didn't pay me. He owes me $3,000. She won't get a dime because it's an illegal apartment. So the judge will not benefit her. She won't see any money. That's gone. But she'll eventually get him out. But not on her own. Elderly couple, he's younger, he'll push back. If she changes the locks, he'll break the door down.
Yeah.
Or he'll just call the police and they'll force her to take him back in. So it has to be done legally.
Everything's supposed to be.
Everything has to be done legally. Why? Because you're trying. I'll give you another very bad example. Ready? You want to hear here's a very bad example? There was a couple, a family, that had a Shabbat table. And they always used to bring company. You know, some people invite people to a Shabbat table. They're at a Shabbat table, there's a guy there, he's 35 years old, he's not married. Okay. So the head, the boss, you know, the person, the schmoozy and talking, what kind of a girl are you looking for? He says to him, you know, I really feel bad, you're 35, you're not married, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna put your name out there, I'm gonna try to find you shidduchim, I'm gonna try to find you girls. I really feel bad for you. Okay? But, what you say around the Shabbat table is very pleasant. A week goes by, 2 weeks go by, the guy calls up, he says, no, do you have any dates for me? He says, no, I really haven't had a chance, I've been so busy, but I'll get to it. A third week, a fourth week, after 4 weeks go by, and he didn't make any shidduchim dates, the guy sued him for $10,000. Breach of promise. At your table, you said you were going to find me shidduchim, you were going to get me married, you were going to get me dates. You didn't come through. I was sitting at the Shabbos table, I was just trying to be polite. Well, I trusted you. I put my faith in you.
Wow.
And you let me down. $10,000. Now, the couple hired a lawyer to fight it. It cost them $5,000. They got it thrown out. But it cost them $5,000. Why? Because at a Shabbos table, they said to the person, I really feel bad that you're not married. I'm going to try to help you. Where's the justice in that? So the case got thrown out.
But how did they prove that he said it? Nobody was recording.
What are you talking about? There were 10 people at the table. He wasn't going to lie. Then she also asked me, what if I say I never let him stay there? I said, what do you think? He's been there for 6 months. You don't think your neighbors know? You don't think the people upstairs know? Yeah. And if the courts subpoena them, you think your neighbors upstairs are going to lie for you? Probably not.
Barbecue.
Right? He has his stuff there. He's getting mail there already. His bank statements are coming there. People have a footprint. They know where you are. You can't pretend that you can't lie. What I'm trying to say to you is we do things with kindness. Sure, I want to help you, but you don't realize that some people take that as a promise, as a commitment. You gave me your word. In 30 days, you did not produce one date. You broke my trust in you. And because of that, you owe me damages. And anybody can sue anybody. Doesn't mean you're going to win.
And court give 5,000.
It cost them $5,000 to hire a lawyer to get the case thrown out of court. Now, it was thrown out. But it cost money. The Medrash, listen to this Medrash, famous Medrash, let's go. The Medrash says that Yaakov's having this dream. And in the dream, he sees this ladder, and the angels are going up and down the ladder. And he sees one angel goes up 52 steps, and another angel goes up and then comes down, and another angel goes up and down, and then the angel of Edom goes up and doesn't come down. Omar HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yaakov. So Hashem says to Yaakov, it's your turn. Climb the ladder. Climb the ladder. But also show at that time, Nisyora Yaakov. Yaakov was afraid. He said, just like those people went up and were forced down, if I climb, maybe Hashem will force me down, and it'll be a bad sign for the Jewish people. So he didn't climb. He didn't have the faith to climb. So Hashem said, because you didn't believe me, when I asked you to climb the ladder, you didn't climb. Now your children will have to suffer through 4 different exiles. So they asked the question, hold on here. You're telling me Yaakov made a sin. He didn't climb the ladder, correct. But it was a dream. Can a person sin in a dream? Let's say I have a dream, and in my dream, I'm at McDonald's eating a cheeseburger. Is that a sin? Would you say to me, I'm in trouble? This is what we talked about before, right?
Yeah. This is something that bothers me all the time.
Okay, so you see, you think I didn't have this anticipated? You think it's a dream. How can you hold me responsible for a dream? So you know what they answer? They says, you're right. You're not responsible for the dream. But when Yaakov met Esau, instead of being tough with him, he sent him gifts and he bowed him. He says, now this wasn't a dream. He didn't have faith in the dream, and then in real life, he didn't have faith either. Now in real life, he's responsible. And that's what Hashem holds him responsible for. That he should have had more faith during the dream. See, he had to have more faith in the dreams than it happens. He brings down here something very interesting. 1 or 2 more points I want to share with you. He brings down here something very interesting. He says, when Lavan ran after Yaakov was running away. Lavan ran after Yaakov. What was Lavan's intention? When he was going to catch up with Yaakov, what did he want to do?
Return all his.
He wanted to do more than that. He wanted to kill the guy. It says in the Haggadah, Bikesh Lavan la'akor et hakol. Lavan was going to destroy everybody. Why didn't he? So we know that Hashem said to him, don't you touch Yaakov. But the truth is, Lavan wasn't such a believer in God. So even if he had a dream like that Hashem came to him and said, don't you touch him, he might have killed him anyway. You know what the Meforshim say? Lavan knew that who was marching with an army towards them? Esau. You know what Lavan said? If I kill Yaakov, Esau is going to use that as an excuse to kill me. Esau wants to kill himself. He doesn't want anybody taking his prize away. So it says that because Esau's army was marching towards Yaakov, Lavan backed away, got scared. So he says, think about it. Yaakov gets news, Esau's coming with 400 men. So Yaakov is afraid of Esau and his 400 men, not realizing that Esau and his 400 men just saved his life from Lavan.
Yeah.
You see that? In life, we see something happening, not realizing that Hashem is causing this to happen because it's saving us back here from this happening. That means we don't always connect the dots. If we had the vision to be able to connect the dots, we would see things a lot easier and a lot better, but we don't have the vision to connect the dots. And therefore, he says, we miss some of the things that Hashem does for us. Okay, the Baalei Musar. Musar means people who learn how to be better human beings, yes.
After so many years, Yaakov lived with Lavan,
Right.
and he still was scared of him.
He was scared of what he could do. That means Lavan had a reputation. And he could protect himself, Yaakov. Just like he could protect himself against Esau.
I think he more scared about his own brother than him.
I'm sure he is. But that's brother, in a strange way, because his brother's march saved his life from Lavan. Okay, the Baalei Musar, listen to this. Yaakov has this dream of a ladder. He says, there's a lot of things we can learn from this ladder. Number one, a ladder has rungs, evenly spaced rungs. In life, we always have to be climbing up. But we don't jump 2 steps or 5 steps. Mm-hmm. The best way to go up the ladder is one step at a time. One step at a time. Number 2, the higher you go, the more dangerous and scary it is.
Yes.
People think, oh, Rabbi, you're such a tzaddik. You're all the way on top of the ladder. You have no Yetzer Hara, nothing bothers you. What does the Gemara say? Kol misha gadol, the greater you are, the Yetzer Hara is even greater. Mm-hmm. You're not any safer on top of the ladder, just the opposite. When you're on top of the ladder, it's scarier. Life is scarier, not easier. Okay? Number three. If order a ladder to work, it's leaning against something, right? You lean the ladder on the house. He says, if you want to grow, you can't do it by yourself. You always have to lean on someone. You always have to have a Rabbi, someone you can talk to, someone that you can bounce ideas off of. Nobody puts the ladder straight up and climbs. Maybe in the circus they do, but in life, it doesn't work that way. And number 4, a rung can break. So you'll fall down 1 step, 2 steps. But there's always steps to catch you and sides to hold on to. So he says, don't give up because a rung broke. There's always a way to keep going on the ladder. And if you keep doing that and you follow that through, then everything will work out just fine. Okay, have a good night. It's already 9:30. See how time flies when you're having
Oh
fun?
my God.
You can turn it off.
5 more
Is this
minutes.
weather you think?
Okay,
Actually, 7 more.
yeah, you're right, that's a little bit faster.